Hey guys, how's it going? Brandon here from Banter Broadcast. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in into this video. I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in and giving us so much support on our recent videos, on our podcast, and on social media as well. Thank you guys so much on all platforms. Thank you guys so much. Let's just hop right into the video. So in this video, you see the title. We'll be talking about the sleepers in this year's NFL draft. We'll be talking, Ben and I will be going through some names that we think are going to have a high impact in this year's draft and for any team, and that are potentially day two, day three guys that, or maybe even some undrafted free agents that are going to go in the later rounds, or players that don't get picked up at all and could make an outstanding performance and a big impact on whatever team they go to. So let's kick right into it. Ben, I know you have a few names. Just give me one of them.
So the main guy I was going to talk about that isn't really a sleeper, but to me it hasn't been talked about as the second, as in that upper echelon of running backs, is Javonte Williams out of North Carolina. To me, this guy's up there with up there. I think he's better than Najee Harris. Not Najee Harris. I think he's better than Etienne, in my opinion. I know a lot of people have been sleeping on Etienne, but this guy, he is a bell cow running back. He's basically Chris Carson, and I would say that he's basically Chris Carson. He says that what he does, and I think is great. He definitely is the ability to get in through tackles, but he also runs in a lot of space very well. He he has a lot of runs that are outside of 20 plus yards. He's got a lot of quickness and space. I mean, if you look at his stats, they're just eye popping for a guy his size. I mean, he's over 1,000 yards and 19 touchdowns, and he averages 7.3 yards a carry, which is unbelievable for, I mean, any running back. I think genuinely he should be the second running back off the board.
Right. No, for sure. I mean, I think for sure. Yeah, he does sound like a very, I want to say more of an explosive power back if you're going to compare him to Chris Carson, because that's what it kind of is for Seattle. Um, a guy that's going to bully the offensive line to push up and all that kind of stuff, and bully defenders to get off him. Um, I think it comes down to the fact that he's not playing at Clemson or at Alabama. And we've seen what Etienne and we've seen what Najee Harris have done. Both are projected to at least possibly go early second round, potentially late first round or mid first round, if in some mocks for Najee Harris more so than Etienne. But Ben, you brought up a running back. I'm gonna bring up another one. I'm gonna bring up Chuba Hubbard from Oklahoma State. In 2019, I think he had more than 2,000 rushing yards and 21 touchdowns on like less than 300 carries, which I think is not less than no, I think it's around 300 carries, a little bit more than 300 carries. Um, I think he's almost like your guy. He's 210 pounds. He's definitely he's I think he's a little bit more physical. But he's also very explosive. He has the ability. He understands when to cut. He's very understand how to move defenders around. But honestly, I think physically, I think that's where there's a little bit detrimental there for him. But I think is more. I think he is very explosive. He's projected to be a fifth or sixth round pick. Kind of like where Chris Carson went, also. So, if you're so yeah, another guy that's a good ball carrier. And he made a big impact in Oklahoma State. The only reason why he's not being talked about more, again, is his size, but his ability on the ball is incredible. And I think any team that we're going to use him in maybe in a two-back system, I think I think get a nice surprise out of him.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big knocks on him is that he only carried for under 600 yards, which is not 600 yards. He only attempted 600 carry under 600 carries in 585, which yes, it could show a lack of usage, but also shows the fact of how many yards he got off of those carries is unbelievable. Sure, he doesn't play for one of the bigger colleges, but he's been compared to the likes of DeMarco Murray. I mean, this guy, for his size, is very good. And I think it's someone that you have to look at in those later rounds for a team that may look for like a little bit more depth. I mean, this guy could definitely step in and do a job.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, Ben. What is your next guy that you have? I'm only gonna rattle off a few. We're not gonna make this a very long episode, but Ben, I know you have a few more for us, so give us another one.
My guy here, I learned about him a couple of weeks ago. Got someone who I've been very impressed with, Nico Collins out of Michigan.
Yeah.
He is the Chase Claypool of this year. He's 6'4". He's in between a wide receiver and a tight end. He ran a 4.42 in a 40-yard dash, has a 40.5-inch vertical
Right.
jump. He is unbelievable. His pro day has been so amazing. He has a lot of great grades, according to PFF. To me, this is a guy that you're going to see come in as we talk about that this has a lot of depth. This draft class has a lot of wide receiver depth. This is one of the guys that you can get maybe in the second or third round, have him come in and play extremely well, especially again like a Chase Claypool.
Right, right. No, for sure. No, he's definitely a big body. He is that tweener. And I like the Chase Claypool comparison because he's a big body. He has the athleticism to get up there and get the balls. I know he had a pretty good 40 time. I think he ran under a 4.5, a 4.45, which is pretty. Which I mean, for his size, is pretty good. I know a lot of these guys are running in the 4.3s, but still, being 6'4". I mean, Claypool, I think also ran a similar. So I like the pick. I definitely think he could be a third to fourth round talent. I like the comparison to Claypool, like you said. Um, but speaking of wide receiver, I also have a wide receiver. I have Jalen Darden out of North Texas. Very good slot receiver, very dynamic. What is knocking him a little bit is that he's 5'8" and 174 pounds. So he has the slimness of Devontae Smith plus the lack of height that you want like a typical wide receiver to have someone in the 6 foot. However, we've seen guys like Cole Beasley, Tyler Boyd make excellent careers for themselves or continuing to make excellent careers for themselves being that small um, for a receiver being generally slow. Same, I mean, he's more of a running back, but same thing with Darren Sproles. Definitely an undersized player, but had a big impact. He's very dynamic, and I think what's great about him is that there's a stat that came out that he in 2020 that he made 23 defenders missed, which led all college football receivers. And as a slot receiver, he is one of the best in the country. I think he's had over 15 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards. Again, it's another guy that doesn't have the same, doesn't have a lot of productivity because he is a slot receiver. So he only got the ball about 60 times, caught the ball about 60 times. But to do all that on 60 catches, I think honestly, I think that we could be looking at a possible, and there no with wide receiver talent in this year's draft. I mean, Ben, you brought up Nico um, a few minutes ago, we're talking about guys like Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, being so highly coveted in this year's draft. This guy I think can go in day 2, day 3. This if someone that around 2, around 3, that someone that can definitely come in and be a guy that I don't think is going to be a top receiver, but I think is someone that you should have your close eye on. And might be on your boards I think honestly at the least like a round 3 guy, like a mid to late second round, early third round type of guy.
Yeah, we're seeing, especially with guys like Tyreek Hill, that it's more about being explosive than being this physically dominating guy. Sure,
Right.
for every Tyreek Hill, you're going to have a Jakeem Grant who can't really seem to catch the ball, but this guy seems to have it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you're not really taking a punt on a guy that's on a guy coming out of this late second, early third, or early third day, I should say.
Right.
So, to me, a lot of these sleepers are going to come in the are going to come from these from these like round 1 schools, and a lot of them are going to be offense. I'm going to switch to defense real quick.
All
And
right.
this guy to Louisiana Tech, Milton Williams, he is a defensive lineman. He has been playing unbelievably. He's notched a bunch of 88 plus grades on PFF. He has an incredible build. Yes, there is worry because does come from a smaller school, but if you're willing to take that same thing on Trey Lance, I would be very surprised. I'm not that saying that he's like the same type of guy, same type of talent, but if you're one of those guys that defends Trey Lance and it's not from the small school, then you shouldn't be worried about taking a guy like Milton Williams. His physicality, his build has been unbelievable, and he did pretty well in his combine. And he in the past 20 years, Williams' 40-yard dash and 3-cone times would rank as the best on record, and his vertical would be the second best on record for 280 plus pound defensive lineman. I mean, that's unbelievably athletic for a guy for his position.
Yeah. No, I think in terms of guys that the defense is another big one in this year's draft. We have a lot of edge rushers and a lot of linebackers. We're talking about go in the mid to late first round. It's not like offensive line in this year's draft where after Sewell there is somewhat of a big drop off, of a significant drop off in terms of talent, because I think you can still get guys pretty late that are going to give you some production value because of just how well they're doing. Another guy that I want to bring up, and I'm also going to bring up another defensive guy. We're kind of matching it here, Ben, is a guy from Alabama, Birmingham. So at least you could say he played for Alabama. Uh, Jordan Smith, he's an edge rusher. He's 6'6", 255 pounds. He was a Gator once, but he was suspended and then had to go play JUCO for a little bit. He does have a lot of he does have a lot of raw ability on him, but I think he's very aggressive. He's very very good coming off the edge. He does have the only reason why I'm saying he's going to be a late round pick or late pick is just because of his past issues. In this draft, not in the draft, but in college, he has off the field issues. I mean, that's also why he got suspended as a Gator and was forced to leave to get play time. But I think if you have him in a structured system and a system that will kind of nurture him, kind of like what Miami Dolphins fans were hoping with like Isaiah Wilson, that it wasn't so much let me get the back situation. It was more so like I just didn't want to be in Tennessee at all type of situation. Maybe Miami, a change of scenery could be a good thing. I think if he's put in a situation where, you know, his coaches are going to be on top of him to produce and do well and make him accountable, I think for sure this guy is going to be an outstanding player. We're going to do one more each. Ben, is there any one guy that you could that maybe again on the defensive end? Is there what do you have for me?
I'm gonna actually go back on offense. This guy from this running back from Mississippi State, Kylin Hill. He has raw athleticism. He's demonstrated the fact that he's got all the physical tools required to be an NFL ready running back. In 2019, he was a number 2 rusher in the SEC, right behind a little known player named Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's forced 61 missed tackles in that season. He racked up 741 yards after contact, which was fourth best in the country. He's a pretty good pass catcher. He looks to be he's going to be a late round draft pick. I think he did opt out of this season with Mississippi State. However, he should be on everyone's radar. If you're looking at a guy who can be that dual threat that can probably grow into a system, to me, Kylin Hill could be that guy. He only dropped 27 targets. His running style, sure, it hasn't been the best. He doesn't have the best running IQ, as in sometimes he'll bounce out of lanes to bounce back into them. He doesn't play all that well. He might not make the correct decision, but that's something that you can just work on with film, in my opinion, and definitely a situational thing. To me, Kylin Hill is one of those later round guys that you can get a lot of value for.
Right. No, for sure. I'm gonna stay back on the defensive end for my last pick, and I'm gonna go with a cornerback from Central Arkansas, Robert Rochelle. Rochelle. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sorry if I am. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it a little bit. But this dude is an athletic freak. He has a 43-inch vertical. He ran a 4.39 at the 40 and has a long wingspan. He has a 32.5-inch wingspan, which is making him long. It makes him long and athletic. He's able to use his body. He's 6 foot. He definitely has the ability to play in coverage and play well. The big knock on him is the fact that technique wise, he's not great. He's not the greatest. The issue, also the other issue is that he bites on a lot of releases a little too early. He bites on a lot of moves. He takes a lot of risks, so that's another knock on him. That a lot of the risks that he's taken in the past have not really translated to him doing well. But again, if you can somehow mold him into, work on his technique, if he goes into a defensive system already, a defensive minded head coach possibly, he could definitely, I think, be a good rotational corner 3 or corner 2 that you put in there to defend maybe some of your speedier receivers or some of your longer receivers because he could definitely compete with some of those, and for sure he can go after. He can be a very good coverage corner. I don't know about man to man, but I know coverage wise, if you put him in a good system, I think he can make it work. But yeah, that is gonna do it for
Actually,
our yeah.
no, I just wanted to comment on Rochelle. I was gonna point out something funny. Out of all the defensive-minded head coaches that he could have had for the Senior Bowl, probably the worst one would have been Flores, because Flores doesn't need a corner.
Yeah.
They drafted one in the first round. They have 2 of the highest paid corners in the league. They got one in off free agency. I'm sure this would have been someone that Flores would have definitely targeted, but it's
Right, but if they didn't already get some of the guys that we've that you've spoken about, like Igbenogany, having Howard, and having Byron Jones also be there, it's kind of hard. But I think honestly, I would look at we talk about Flores. I mean, I think maybe Saints could work out with him. I think maybe to back up Lattimore. But no, I think he definitely needs to work on his technique, but he has what you want in a corner, which is the athleticism to defend pretty much your fastest receiver and your longest receiver. But no, I mean, listen, these are our sleepers in this year's draft. Guys are going a little bit under radar that you may not know of. So let us know in the comment section whether if you have some or not, whether who you think is a possible sleeper as well. Also, make sure to like and subscribe, turn on post notifications because we will be doing a NFL live draft watch party. We're going to be watching round 1, day 1 of the NFL draft on the 27th. We're gonna do some sort of draft party. We're gonna, kind of do what we did for the NBA this past draft, which is commentate on the picks, who's going where, reacting to any trades that could possibly go down. It's gonna be a long, fun night, and I hope that we can see you there. And yeah, Ben, is there anything left you want to say to the beautiful people out there?
The draft is a farce. None of these scouting reports are real. Let's be honest. It's just educated guessing.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But yeah, that's gonna be it for us. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, follow us on Instagram, Twitter. All the links will be in the description down below, as well as supporting our podcast. Make sure if you do enjoy what you hear in our podcast, make sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Take it easy. Have a good one and peace.